If you're taking messages right now on stream, can you explain how stock dilution works? Yes. What is an offering? What is dilution? Yeah, sure. There's different types of dilution. I'll just go over basically a stock offering. I could do convertible notes if you want as well, but basically it's real simple. I want you to think of it like this, right? So this cup of coffee, let's say cup of coffee. Let's try something else. I got one. This here is your cup. And in this cup, there is some whiskey, whatever your favorite drink is, right? That's the stock market. And over here is your, I don't know, let's call it, let's call this gin, okay? Here's your gin. Here's your gin. The big bottle of tonic over here. Yes, I'm a recovering alcoholic, so of course this is what I went with. Now, you order a gin and tonic. You want a gin and tonic, right? So this is the company. The tonic is the company's shares, right? So this is how many shares the company has. All this tonic in here, all this fizzy tonic is the shares. And they do an IPO. They pour some of those shares out, right? Now you got yourself a nice little gin and tonic. I know for my bartenders out there, like, dude, that's a crazy ratio right there. And so that's it is. Well, then the company wants to raise money. They want to make more money. They want to use money for an expansion, right? And they don't want to take on debt. Why take on debt? Sure, if I take on debt, I keep more of my company, but I have a limited amount of money and I have to pay interest and stuff like that. You know what? Let's raise some money. Let's make some money. We need money to expand. We need money for partnerships. We need money for whatever. So what do? Well, let's sell some more of our shares, some more equity in our company, more pieces of our company. So they turn it over and they pour some more tonic in there. It's diluted the drink, the ratio, the amount of alcohol you get for the drink. So every time, right, this all gets mixed in, right? Every time they do more shares offerings, where they offer more shares, they're putting more tonic in your whiskey tonic, which is the value of the shares, right? So now there's more of them, meaning that the original taste, the original amount, per sip or whatever, is much less. That's dilution. Now, if you're not an alcoholic, or you're not a party goer, or you're just a normal fucking human being, it's a supply and demand, right? Supply and demand. Think about it like drugs, okay? Jesus, what the fuck is wrong with me? Can I come up with something that's not drugs, alcohol, or sex? Fuck. Food? No. I have dark humor, and dark humor is like food. Not everyone gets it. So, what's the sex analogy like this? So if I go to a place where prostitution, right? I got me a girl of the night here. I don't know why she's got fucked up heels, right? I don't know why I turned her into a horse, okay? But got you a girl of the night, right? She's like, hey, big boy, right? She's like, hey, you, and she's smoking a cigarette, right? She's got a little smoke here. She's like, okay. She's angry, obviously. She got track marks, stretch marks. And she goes, hey, big guy. If it's illegal, that's a centaur prostitute. Okay, listen, don't kink shame, okay? I'm inclusive of everybody, okay? Wood, all right. Why are her legs so short? Because she's like 4'8". So you go there, okay, and it's illegal. There's a lot of danger involved, and there's a lot less people. So it's going to cost you more money. It's going to cost you more money. But if you go to a place where it's legal, there's much more supply. Therefore, you have options, meaning people have to compete for your price. This is a really bad example. I don't know what's going on with me right now. Just to explain it in terms of stocks. I did, but then they didn't understand. Okay, if this is the company, and they have 1,000,000 pieces, or 1,000 pieces, right? And they want to raise money. They say, we're going to give 100 pieces of our company for sale. And whatever people buy it for, we're going to use that money to grow. So there's 100 pieces of that company out here. Now, if that company continues to grow, everybody wants a piece of that company. But there's only 100 pieces. And if each piece is going for $20, and it's doing really well, and people are like, man, I really want to get in on that company. I want to be a part of it. I think that $20 per piece is going to be $50 in a few years. And there's only 100, there's a lot of demand, right? So people are like, hey, can I get it free? Can I get this from you? They're like, yeah, you can have it for 25. And somebody's like, all right, cool, I'll take it for 25. Well, now, the other 99 pieces here, the other 99 others are like, wait a second, my shares are worth 25, because if people are willing to pay 25 for it, then that's what I got for it. All right, fuck it. Anybody want a piece of this? I'll give it to you, but it's 30. And people jump on it. And you get to a point where the next guy goes, all right, I'll give it 35, but nobody buys it. So that means price discovery. People are willing to pay this much for it, $30. You got it at 20. There was hype around it 30, but nobody's quite convinced that it's worth getting into it 35 right now. Because they're doing good, but they've got some roadblocks ahead. The sector's this, the economy's not doing so well, so I want it, but I'm not willing to go that high. So that's price discovery. The problem is that if the company says we're going to give out another 100, well, now you have doubled the amount of pieces out there. Therefore, the value of each piece isn't worth as much. Supply and demand. So if there was 100 pieces and 150 people trying to get it, you have more demand than supply, and people pay a premium for that. But if you have 150 buyers and 200 pieces, there's now more supply, so that each one is worth less. And if they keep doing that every time, this goes from 30, technically 30, you double it up, it's only worth 15 now. Because if one piece is worth $30 when there's 100 pieces, that means if there's 200 pieces, it's only worth $15. And if they do it again, it's 300 pieces, now it's only worth $7.50. You're diluting the amount. And unless that company does something crazy that makes the value of these people, more people come in for demand, it stays that way. And a buyback does the opposite. Let's say it's at 15 and there's 200 pieces. The company says, we're buying 100 pieces back and we're going to buy them at $20. Well, guess what? They have now set the price at $20 and they've cut the value, the amount in half. So now there's less. You see, does this make sense? I'm not getting into convertible notes where they basically say, hey, you take this and we're either going to give you the value of the share at this price or the cash amount, whatever, and we could buy that. But that's a different thing. Dilution with creating new shit is different. So does that happen, or do you want me to go back to the alcohol and the fucking Sentussi? What happened to existing homeowners? I'm proud of myself for getting through that and getting to this that made more sense. That right there, that's me growing and not maturing, but I'm growing. Normally I wouldn't been able to get past. Damn, that beard cut actually looking pretty good today. I wouldn't have gotten past the alcohol and the Sentussi. I would have gone straight to cocaine in Colombia and South America and how much if a ship gets overflowed or somebody gets busted, how that makes the street value go up because demand is still high. I stopped myself there. We can still see the Sentussi, by the way. Where? Oh, looks like a Simpsons character. Hey, bad boy, I'll suck you dry. I'll take out my dentures. Take out my dentures and I'll gum your nuts, boy. $10, I'll suck you dry. Like that's the kind of shit I'm God damn it. Almost got out of that one. How can you tell if dilution is bad or good? Generally, you can't tell if the dilution is bad or good. You can tell who they're diluting it to. If they're doing it to a general offering, if they're doing it to an underwriter who already owns shares, if they're doing it to a private placement. But also, it's what do they do with the money? It's a gamble. Is the dilution worth it? If they say we're diluting to raise money to buy something or to buy back this or to do that, then it's worth it. If they're just doing it and there's no reason other than raising capital because they're just running out of money, then it's like, why are they running out of money and why do they need money? There's a lot of reasons there.